Ground spices are a really important part of your cooking arsenal. A lot of spices are probably the best way to conjure up other countries because different countries work with different spices. And when you want to make something that tastes like a country, often your best way to do that is to go and find a spice from that country. So there are so many spices in the world, it would be impossible to show them all to you. So I've picked a couple of my favorites. And spices are all very different. They all have very different personalities. They all have very different purposes, very different ways in which you can use them. And so it would be difficult to explain what every spice does and how to use it. But what I'm going to give you is a brief overview and just a pretty solid idea of what they do. So right here, these are some pretty common spices that I have in my kitchen, and they all do different things. So yellow mustard blend, like if you pop it open, it smells like mustard. This is very much an American and French spice, very European as well. You see it in a lot of, like French cooking and, sort of that region of Europe. This is one of my favorite spices. This is called pimentone dolce, which is basically smoked paprika. So it smells like bacon. Bacon. So if you want to make something taste like bacon, but you don't want to use bacon, you don't have it, you're cooking for vegan friends, you just don't want to use it, this is a really great way to add that smoked bacon flavor and smell to your food. Like, it almost smells like a campfire. It's really delicious. This one, we've got a really versatile spice. This is just red pepper flake. It's not ground, it's actually just like little flakes. It's actually really common. You can find this at almost any grocery store. This is the #1 way that I add heat to any recipe. Like, you can add hot sauce, you can add, other kinds of pepper, but red pepper is great because you can use just a little bit of it to get just a little bit of heat. You can use a lot of it to get a lot of heat. It really gives you a lot of control. The other good thing about this is a spice you don't need to cook in order for it to be good. You can actually just sprinkle it on whatever you want. In fact, my boyfriend sprinkles this just on pizza, which is why there's usually a little bowl of it sitting at pizza places on the table, because it's great on pizza. Here we've got chipotle chili pepper. This, smells really good. So chipotle peppers are a little spicy. If you use a lot of them, they become very spicy, but they're smoked. And so when you use chipotle chili peppers, you get like a beautiful, like spicy campfire smell. Like, really, I kind of want to put this under my pillow so I can smell it all night and dream of campfire and food. I've got another pepper here. I guess I've got all these like spicy things. Cayenne pepper, another way to get heat. Cayenne pepper has like a spicy pepper smell, like almost a green pepper smell with almost a hint of like peanut butter in it, which I always think is funny. Cayenne pepper is pretty spicy. When you use this, you want to use it in relatively small amounts, because like if you get into like a half a teaspoon of this in your dish, it can actually make it surprisingly spicy. And if you're really sensitive to spice, then you probably wouldn't like that. Ground cloves, this is a baking spice. It smells like cloves. It smells like Christmas. Again, this is an incredibly potent spice. So if you're making like an apple pie or you're making gingerbread, if you want to add cloves, you're going to add, other ingredients, maybe a ½ teaspoon of ground ginger, a ½ teaspoon of allspice, a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon, and you're going to use like literally 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves, because they are that intense. If you go over with the cloves, like all you will taste is cloves, and you will taste cloves for like 2 solid days. Ground ginger. This is a really versatile spice that I love. Can be used for baking or cooking. I try to cook with fresh ginger, and sometimes I just don't have it in the house. Or you buy some ginger and it sits in your little fruit bowl, and then it, like 2 weeks later, it's like dried out to this like little nubbin the size of a dime. In which case, it's really handy to have ground ginger around. I put this in everything. I put it in apple pie. I put it in gingerbread. I sprinkle it into curries. I've sprinkled it into all sorts of savory dishes when it just needs like a light gingery, like just a little bit of spice without like actually requiring pepper. Now, we've got a couple of spice blends, which I wanted to talk about. Spice blends are so awesome. Like, this is where you really get into like the global world of cooking with spices, because every single country seems to have their own spice blend. So the United States has things like Old Bay. If you go down into like the New Orleans area, you have Tony Chacharas, and I apologize if I butchered saying that. I'm not from New Orleans. If you get into Italy, you've got Italian herbs, which is, a blend of like rosemary and basil and a couple of other things. You've got Venus herbs, which is French. You've got herbs de Provence, which is from the south of France. And then you've got all these different blends here. This is a really basic yellow curry powder. Yellow curry comes from India. Oh, it smells so good. Generally, curries have like they're yellow, and they have like a turmeric base, and then everything else is sort of piled on top of it. So this particular one, this one's from Whole Foods. It's the whole pantry. This one's turmeric, cumin, black pepper, ground ginger, coriander, fenugreek, garlic, celery seed, cloves, cayenne pepper, caraway seeds, white pepper, and mace. Now, the thing about curry powders is every company makes a really unique curry powder. So like this is the whole pantry from Whole Foods. If you buy one at Safeway, it's going to be different. If you buy one at Trader Joe's, it's going to be different. If you buy one from a spice shop, it's going to be different. You can even make your own. Like you can get your own blend or make your own blend of like those spices that I just named off, and you can kind of add more or less depending on how you like it. So the thing about curry powders is since they're all different, if you find one you like some are ginger heavy, some are, more turmeric heavy, some have like kind of a more balanced flavor where nothing stands out, it just tastes good. If you find one that you like, buy it and hold on to it and stick with it. Because I've had a couple instances where I've liked a chili or a curry powder and then it was discontinued and I was super sad because I had to like find a new one that I liked. You also see yellow curry a lot in Thai cooking. It sort of borrowed it from Indian cooking, so you'll see a lot of like yellow Thai curries with coconut milk. They're delicious. This is another one of my favorites. It's Chinese 5-spice blend. And I'm actually, I've read that it's from China. I'm not sure if it's still like in its like sort of true formulation. Like, when things are brought over from other countries, like they tend to change up a little bit for American palates. But the general like ingredients of a Chinese 5-spice are star anise, cloves, cinnamon, fennel, and black pepper. And there might be a little variance between brands. Again, like curry powder, this may change from brand to brand to brand. So if you find one you like, I would grab it and hold on to it. But this is actually a really interesting blend because you can use it. I've actually made pumpkin pie with Chinese 5-spice, and people are like, oh, that's really good. I don't know why it's different. It's got kind of something like unique, and it was delicious. You can use it with other things that you want to kind of give that hit to. So like if you're doing like a red braised pork, which is Chinese, it's like a lot of soy sauce, like heavy sauces. Because this is a stronger flavored thing, it can be a little overpowering, so you don't need a lot. Or you want to put it in something that has a lot of fat, like coconut milk, that will help kind of temper that flavor. And then we have chili powder, which is, I think, probably one of America's favorite spices. Like, I've had a bottle of chili powder in my cabinet for decades. I think my grandma's had the same bottle forever. People buy it in, this is the one spice people buy in big containers because they seem to use it a lot. I know a lot of folks think that this is just one item in here, a one-item spice, but it's not. It's actually a blend. And again, just like the other blends, this will vary from brand to brand to brand. Some will be, heavier in some flavors and lighter in others. So if you find one that you like, buy some of it and hold on to it. This one in particular has chili powder, cumin, oregano, coriander, garlic, and cloves. And, I've actually bought chili powder in the past. It doesn't have cloves in it. And, if you find one you like I said, buy it. Or if you're feeling really creative, you can actually make your own. I have some friends that make their own custom chili powders, and it's a lot of fun because it becomes their family recipe, and they hand it down through generations, or they give it to friends, or they even bottle it up for Christmas or other holidays and give it to friends as a gift with their own little fun label on the front. So these are some really basic spices. There's a whole world of spices out there. I can't possibly go into them all, but what's attached to this course is you'll find a spice listing below, and it'll help you with spice pairing. And just if you grab a couple of these and maybe a couple others that you like and experiment with them, you'll find a lot that you actually enjoy using.